Imagine waking up to find that your dream vacation destination is now off limits. No longer just a travel inconvenience. These restrictions mean certain parts of the world have completely closed their doors to American tourists. Why has this happened? And what are the stories behind these countries' decisions? Let's uncover the 10 countries that have banned or severely restricted U.S. travelers in 2024. Welcome to Exploring Our Planet, where we explore the fascinating places and stories behind global travel. Today, we're delving into a list of countries that Americans can no longer visit in 2024. This isn't just about travel warnings. These countries have locked their borders to U.S. citizens, citing reasons ranging from political strife to security threats. What makes them so dangerous? And will they ever reopen? Stay tuned as we reveal these forbidden destinations and why Americans are now barred from visiting them. Country 1. North Korea. North Korea has long been one of the world's most isolated nations, and in 2024, it remains off-limits to American tourists. Since 2017, the U.S. government has placed a travel ban on North Korea due to increasing political tensions, nuclear threats, and concerns over the safety of U.S. citizens. Americans caught entering North Korea without special permission could face severe penalties, and given the country's hostile relationship with the U.S., this isn't likely to change soon. North Korea operates under one of the most repressive regimes in the world. Led by Kim Jong-un, the government strictly controls all aspects of life, including travel, with foreigners only allowed to visit on tightly monitored tours. Even those few visitors experience only what the regime wants them to see, visits to carefully curated sites that present an image far removed from reality. For many Americans, North Korea remains a place of mystery. The very idea of visiting such a closed-off society makes it a tempting, albeit impossible, destination. But for now, North Korea is a country where U.S. citizens must stay away, whether by their government's directive or North Korea's own policies. Country 2. Afghanistan. Once known for its stunning mountain ranges and ancient cities, Afghanistan is now a no-go zone for Americans. Following the Taliban's takeover in 2021, Afghanistan has become increasingly dangerous, especially for U.S. citizens. Travel to Afghanistan is strictly forbidden due to the high risk of terrorism, kidnapping, and civil unrest. The situation has worsened in recent years, making it one of the most hazardous places in the world for foreign visitors. Afghanistan's history is a complex one, marked by decades of conflict. The Taliban's return to power has led to further instability, particularly for those seen as sympathetic to Western nations. Americans, in particular, face a hostile environment, as the U.S. withdrawal from the country has left behind a fragile and volatile political climate. The U.S. State Department has consistently advised against all travel to Afghanistan, warning citizens of extreme risks. Despite these dangers, Afghanistan's breathtaking landscapes, from the towering Hindu Kush Mountains to the historic city of Herat, remain out of reach for most travelers. It's a place steeped in history and culture, but for now, it's off limits to those holding a U.S. passport. The dream of visiting Afghanistan will have to wait until the country sees more peaceful days. Country 3. Syria. Syria's rich historical heritage, from ancient ruins to bustling cities, is now overshadowed by a devastating civil war that has raged for over a decade. Once a bucket list destination for history buffs, Syria has been largely inaccessible since 2011 due to the violent conflict. In 2024, American travelers remain barred from entering the country, with the U.S. government warning of significant threats, including terrorism, kidnappings, and bombings. At the heart of Syria's crisis is a war that has left millions displaced and cities like Aleppo and Homs in ruins. For American travelers, the danger lies not only in the ongoing conflict, but in the lawlessness that has taken over large parts of the country. Extremist groups continue to operate within Syria's borders, making it a high-risk area for anyone attempting to enter. The U.S. has long advised its citizens to avoid all travel to Syria due to these persistent dangers. Yet, despite its current instability, Syria is home to some of the world's most treasured historical sites, including Palmyra and the ancient city of Damascus. These are places of extraordinary beauty and significance, but for now, they remain inaccessible to Americans. The question of when Syria will be safe again for travelers is one that remains uncertain. Country 4. Venezuela. Venezuela. once a thriving destination for American tourists, is now off-limits due to its deepening political and economic crises. The U.S. government has issued strict travel warnings, advising against all but essential travel to the country due to high crime rates, political unrest, and a collapsing healthcare system. U.S.-Venezuela relations have been strained for years, with diplomatic tensions adding to the already complex situation on the ground. Venezuela's ongoing economic collapse has left many parts of the country dangerous for visitors. Crime is rampant, particularly in major cities like Caracas, where robberies, kidnappings, and violent assaults are a daily occurrence. The U.S. government has repeatedly warned its citizens of the risks associated with traveling to Venezuela, and in 2024, this warning remains in full effect. Despite its natural beauty, including the world-famous Angel Falls, the country is seen as a high-risk destination for Americans. For those drawn to Venezuela's rich culture and stunning landscapes, the current situation is heartbreaking. The country's vibrant cities and natural wonders continue to attract adventurous spirits, but the risks are too great. Until Venezuela's political and economic situation improves, it remains a destination that Americans must avoid for their own safety. Country 5. Iran. Iran, with its stunning architecture and deep historical roots, is another country that American travelers can no longer visit freely. Relations between the U.S. and Iran have been strained for decades, but the situation has only worsened in recent years. The U.S. government now advises against all travel to Iran, citing the risk of arbitrary arrest, detention, and espionage accusations for American citizens. In 2024, the barriers to travel remain high, with diplomatic tensions preventing almost all Americans from entering the country. Iran's political climate has always been a point of contention, but its cultural and historical significance is undeniable. Cities like Tehran, Isfahan, and Shiraz are home to some of the world's most breathtaking mosques and palaces, drawing tourists from around the globe, just not from the United States. While other nationalities can visit Iran under relatively safe conditions, Americans face unique risks due to the country's strained diplomatic relations with the U.S. Despite its beauty and cultural allure, Americans must continue to avoid travel to Iran. The country's government has been known to detain U.S. citizens on vague charges, making it far too dangerous to visit. For now, Iran's ancient wonders remain just out of reach for those carrying a U.S. passport, though many hope that one day relations will improve enough to open these borders once again. Country 6. Yemen. Yemen, with its rugged mountains and ancient cities, could have been an incredible destination for travelers. However, the civil war that has torn through the country since 2014 has left it as one of the most dangerous places on earth. The U.S. government has imposed a travel ban for its citizens, advising against all travel to Yemen due to the ongoing conflict, the presence of terrorist organizations, and the humanitarian crisis that continues to worsen in 2024. Yemen's political instability has made it nearly impossible for any foreigner, especially Americans, to visit safely. The ongoing fighting between government forces, Houthi, and extremist groups like Al-Qaeda has left much of the country in ruins. U.S. citizens who attempt to enter Yemen face the threat of violence, kidnappings, and even death, making it one of the highest-risk countries on this list. Despite its historical significance, including landmarks like the ancient city of Shibam and the island of Socotra, Yemen remains closed to U.S. travelers. For those who long to explore Yemen's unique landscapes and rich history, the current situation is tragic. Its architecture, such as the mud brick skyscrapers of Shibam and the biodiversity of Socotra, are legendary. But for now, Yemen is off limits, and the hope for peace and stability feels far off in the distance. Country 7. Libya. Libya's political situation has been in turmoil since the fall of its dictator, Muammar Gaddafi. In 2011, what was once a promising destination, known for its ancient ruins and Mediterranean coastline, has become a dangerous place rife with conflict. In 2024, the U.S. government advises against all travel to Libya due to the ongoing civil war, terrorism, and the threat of kidnapping. The country remains deeply divided, with rival militias and foreign powers fighting for control. Libya is home to some of the most well-preserved Roman ruins in the world, including the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Leptis Magna. However, its current political climate has rendered these treasures inaccessible. The U.S. State Department has warned its citizens that the risk of being caught in the crossfire of violent clashes or targeted by extremist groups is too high. The situation is so volatile that the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli remains closed, and American citizens are left without diplomatic protection if they attempt to enter. The appeal of Libya, with its rich history and stunning coastlines, continues to draw interest from the adventurous, but the risks are simply too great until Libya achieves. Country 9. Eritrea. Eritrea is often called the North Korea of Africa due to its closed-off society and repressive government. In 2024, Americans are advised to avoid travel to Eritrea due to the risk of arbitrary detention, lack of consular support, and severe restrictions on movement within the country. The government's tight grip on its citizens and the lack of transparency make it a challenging place for any foreigner, particularly those holding a U.S. passport. Eritrea's government is known for its authoritarian rule, with a political system that severely limits freedoms and suppresses dissent. Foreigners entering the country, including U.S. citizens, are often monitored closely and may be detained without cause. Americans attempting to travel outside the capital, Asmara, require special permits that are difficult to obtain, making true exploration of the country nearly impossible. The lack of diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Eritrea further complicates matters, leaving Americans vulnerable if they encounter trouble. Yet, Eritrea boasts remarkable landscapes and a rich history that draws the curious. Its capital, Asmara, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its stunning Italian colonial architecture. The country's Red Sea coastline and ancient Christian monasteries are awe-inspiring. But for now, Eritrea's beauty remains out of reach for American travelers, who must hope for a more open and welcoming future. Country 10. Belarus. Belarus, often referred to as Europe's last dictatorship, has become increasingly isolated from the West in recent years. Since 2020, the country has faced growing political unrest and sanctions due to its government's violent crackdown on opposition protests. In 2024, Americans are strongly advised to avoid Belarus due to the risk of arbitrary arrest and the government's hostility towards Western travelers. The political climate has made it a perilous destination for U.S. citizens. The U.S. government has warned its citizens that they could be detained without explanation or access to consular support if they travel to Belarus. Political tensions between Belarus and the United States have only worsened, and Americans are often viewed with suspicion by the Belarusian authorities. This tense environment has made the country one of the least accessible in Europe for American travelers, despite its proximity and shared history with other popular European destinations. Belarus itself is a land of dense forests, pristine lakes, and beautiful medieval castles. Its cities, like Minsk and Brest, are rich with Soviet-era architecture and history. For now, though, these attractions remain off-limits to U.S. tourists, who risk serious consequences by entering the country. As Belarus continues to grapple with internal and external conflicts, it remains a challenging and risky destination for Americans to navigate. The allure of the forbidden has always intrigued travelers, and these 10 countries represent some of the most complex and restricted places in the world for Americans to visit. Whether due to political tensions, ongoing conflicts, or strict governmental control, each of these destinations is fraught with danger and difficulty. While these restrictions are likely to remain in place throughout 2024, travel enthusiasts can only hope that someday these barriers will come down, opening the doors to new and safer adventures. Until then, these countries will stay as forbidden territories on the map for U.S. citizens. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to explore these restricted countries? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Exploring Our Planet for more insights into the world's hidden and inaccessible destinations.